Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm happy to be here, and it's a blessing to be here where you guys are at a conference speaking about technology and about social impact. That's a powerful thing. And one of the things what's been on my heart is to talk about gratitude. Gratitude. Don't take things for granted. It's a blessing that you guys are in the space of technology to be able to work on some of the world's cities, states, greatest challenges. So thank you for coming here and spending your time doing this. Thank you for the work that you guys do. I'm a New York State Assembly member, and we have to work on a lot of these, on these kinds of issues. And it's very important to make sure that people outside of government are working on these matters because we can't do it alone, and government is not always the most innovative. I also want to talk about your head and heart. And it's not just you, I'm speaking to myself. Humble your minds and hearts when working in this space of social impact to be able to be guided by the principles of blockchain technology. Sounds crazy, but is it? You know, when we look at blockchain technology, the fundamental principles of its nature of decentralization, of its being able to be democratized, of the nodes being almost anywhere, and no one node is more important than the other. And any node can be as important as the one that validates. How powerful of these fundamental principles is that? I'm always mindful as a lawmaker also, as a policymaker, that when we look at solutions, when we look at world solutions or solutions for communities, for local communities, are we properly engaging the stakeholders, right? The people that are most impacted. Because blockchain technology is about collaboration, right? It's about trust. So how do we make sure that we use this, this technology properly, and how do we make sure that we implement it properly? Another very important issue and impact that you guys are having with respect to blockchain technology is that we are in within these four walls on the sixth floor of this building, within this building in New York, but the world out there, most of the world out there, have no idea what blockchain technology is. And unfortunately, the ones that do, many have a nefarious idea of what it is. So it's great that, don't take for granted what you're doing and the work that you're doing of social impact using this technology to be able to address some of the biggest challenges in the world. When you look at the purpose of government, under our Constitution, we are to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, to promote the general welfare, to secure the blessings of liberty. Can technologies close this gap? I'm going to speak about some of the things how it's possible, and many of you are working in this space. But I have to say thank you to this organization, the Blockchain for Social Impact Coalition, to be able to not only work in this space, because I know it's not easy, but to be able to connect everyone together, to be able to push these priorities that are going to change, that can fundamentally change the world and fundamentally change institutions. Oftentimes, and I sit down and I listen to a lot of the work that you're doing, and a lot of the work some of the work that's been doing it's in developing nations, which is very important. But what's interesting is that many of the challenges in those developing nations are also challenges right here in New York State. This is the financial capital of the world, and there are neighborhoods that are underbanked and unbanked right here in New York State. This is the financial capital of the world. We're in New York, and there are people that have no ID, where we cannot provide service to them because we can't figure out how to identify them. Right here in New York, I see there were solutions about voting. Right here in New York, right here in America, right here in New York State, right in the 5 boroughs, in 2016 during a presidential primary, 129 voter records were lost, were expunged, right here in New York. Are there blockchain technology solutions to be able to address this? And if this great work is being done, how could we not be able to connect to figure this stuff out? It's about connecting. The challenge when I first started working in this about trying to find responsible regulations around this technology and around this space, the challenge was a few years ago when I would come into a room, I'd get kicked out of the room because the nature of blockchain was, hey, we don't want any centralized out of here. I was government coming in. But we've learned and we've matured to understand that how do we make sure that, again, our business is properly works on this community, technologists, government. And I was very hopeful to see the decentralized impact incubator that you guys had last year, to see some of the folks that participated and some of the awardees. One of the awardees, I don't remember the name of them, but one of the awardees was a solution to be able to count folks that are undercounted with the census. Census is a big thing in this country, right? It's something that we're dealing with right now in New York. In New York and across the country, there are, we're currently trying to count the people in our neighborhoods to make sure that we have the proper level of representation on the local, city, state, and federal level, to make sure that if we're properly counted, we also, that's how the federal government, the state government, and local governments use these numbers to be able to transfer goods, services, and resources. So it's fundamentally important to properly count. How do we use these technologies to be able to count, to be able to address some of these challenges and address some of these issues? I was also seeing that how, again, right, I'm on the banking committee in the state, and we're figuring out how there are certain neighborhoods that don't have local banks because it's not, for a whole host of reasons, but one of the reasons that it's not economically advantageous for certain banks to have branches in these neighborhoods. Are we in a space now, is this technology able to be able to address folks that don't have access to financial instruments, that don't have access to these kinds of things? How do we use technology to do that? One challenge for the state and federal government is the perception of blockchain technology. Unfortunately. That's why it's great of the work that you're doing, because we have to understand how these technologies can be used. But as you use them, as you're coming up with solutions, and same thing with me, I have to ask myself constantly, humble myself so that with my head and my heart, so that while I'm working in this space, I'm guided by the fundamental principles of blockchain technology. Ask your neighbors to validate what you're doing, to check what you're doing, just like blockchain technology. Check on each other. Make sure we're doing the right thing. Make sure we're going the right way. I have to do the same thing. Thank you, everyone.